Evening all, welcome back to Space Engineers. Right, we have the beginning of our new flagship. This is going to be done properly, so we're not actually going to cheat. We're going to build this from scratch effectively. And my goodness, what an undertaking it is going to be. Right, so what we're going to do is we've created a leg. That's where we begin. Everything starts with a leg, as I find. And what we're going to do is build the frame around it. Now, to build the frame is relatively cheap. You just need a few steel plates. So the amount of iron I'm going to need to build this is just astronomical. But weirdly enough, mining it is actually quite easy. So it's just a process of sitting down and doing it. Do you know what I mean? I think in an afternoon I could probably mine enough iron to finish all of these plates, as you see. But we're going to make this a twin-decked thing. It's going to have two decks. It's going to have refinery, production, the lot. It's going to be properly our base. Now the idea is I wanted a mobile base more than a static station like this platform, because I guess it's just a bit more fun. I like the idea of roving around, and I think I'm really keen to see if we can make proper hangars in it and so on. So no real design in my mind. I think it's more just a case of building a relatively kind of long, twin-decked ship. With a large power reactor, because that just makes life a lot easier, and we're probably going to have to add to it over the time as well, which is really cool. So what we effectively do is we're just placing everything. So you see here, when we actually then start to weld, we actually start to weld plates in. You see how that works. The amount of plates we're going to need is just astronomical, as I say. But it's not too bad. Now I am playing on realism, straight realism. So not speeded up, not ×3, not ×10. This is pure realism. So everything costs a phenomenal amount of plates to do, and I wanted to do this because it's like Minecraft. I don't like any of the easy modes of Minecraft and things like that. I'd rather just play the game as it is, because the pleasurable part of this game is this: it's building something and then going and mining some more materials, then refining those materials, then building more things. This is incredibly fun, and I must admit how this is actually really good fun. And I was squeeing all the way through this, I can assure you. Now, I must have played in the last 2 days probably about 8 or 9 hours of this game now, so hopefully that shows you how good it is. It is incredibly addictive. And this survival mode, I think, is just excellent. It really is. I've been waiting for this kind of building of a ship for a while. Again, it comes from my kind of time in most games where I look to try and build. I like to be a builder. And with this particular game, it reminded me very much of Eve, where you could build titans, and hence why we call the thing building titans. But building a titan in this, you wouldn't even have enough resources in the entire system to build to build a titan yet. But what you could certainly do is build something quite big, a cruiser of some description. And I think that's what we're going to focus on for the next few episodes. We're going to show the construction of this mighty ship. Now, the beauty of this is that you don't need to be hugely resource rich to build an entire frame. So towards the end of this, you'll see pretty much that we've built an entire frame, and we've also then added the materials, or rather the components for the inside as well, because you add them as kind of like I guess, as you see, a structure, a frame. So you can plan out your entire ship pretty much from the get-go, which I would say is definitely probably worth doing, because you can easily then cut it and rebuild it. Do you know what I mean? It's better to do it like this than build and just fully weld in all the plates, then realize you've made a mistake, because you have to grind it all out again. So trying to work out really kind of how big to make this. I think it's going to be, again, like my flagship in the previous videos, it's going to be of that style, but certainly nowhere near as big. And some of the things are a bit annoying. So for example, interior decking walls and things like that are really resource hungry, and I don't know quite why. So you're better off just using armor blocks. Oh, there we go. You see my power was running down, so you have to come back to the medical thing and recharge. There we go. Dink. Nice. And you have to keep in mind of that, because sometimes you can get caught out with it. Now here we go. So we've got obviously our internal doors, but look how many materials that internal door needs. My God, just for one door. So slightly annoying, but this is going to be a long project, I assure you. But already I'm smiling. I was going to build now a ramp up to the thing, so you can basically just walk up to it, but to be honest, the jetpack is something once you've mastered, you don't really, you could just use it as you stand. Plus look at the materials that needs. It's incredible. That's like a huge amount of materials that's needed. So as we see, we're kind of just carrying on doing what we do. As I move my little mining drone out the way, We've got plenty of power, which is a good thing. That's going to be one of the key things to really bear in mind is keeping power central. We've got loads of uranium, so we can keep the platform running. That's pretty much a given. But eventually we need to really just, I think, go on a massive mining trip where we just mine all of the iron we can find, because it's going to take thousands of units to get this ship completely fully built. But again, you don't have to it's a funny thing, you don't have to completely build the ship. You can build up to the point where the hull's working, and then that's kind of good enough, if that makes sense. So here we go, let me just show you. So we just literally duck in and we just then start drilling into the ore. Now you see it's kind of iron, you see the iron there, that's looking lovely. My light is terrible, I know, but just building this took about 5 hours to do, I might add. From scratch. It took a long time to build this kind of initial miner, and it's still not the most effective, efficient one I've got, so it could do with a bit of love, but we'll see. Building small stuff is a lot easier than obviously building large stuff. That's just naturally a given. I think if you had a team of people working with you to build a large ship, it wouldn't be too bad, but to build it on your own, hell of a challenge. This is why I think games like this are really cool, because it is a formidable challenge to go and build something as big as what we're planning to build here. So hopefully you kind of recognize that. And it's also incredibly fun as well. So there we go. Look, very quick mining. That gives us enough, probably another, well, maybe even to finish the hull. That might just be enough. All we do is we have to do the annoying kind of shuffle at the moment. If you post in the comments if you know a way to kind of get the ore out of this into the refinery easily. I don't think there is anything. You just have to kind of do this. It's a bit annoying. There we go. You see, we're just dropping it in and back and forth. And what that refinery then does is, you see the refinery is ticking. Just a tip, if you're playing this game, set it to connected to the internet but private, so when you're in the screens it doesn't stop the game. I hated it when it did that. Now I'm running an online game but private, so that at least I can get the machines working when I'm in the menu and see the things being produced. I always did that in Minecraft. I have to see things like ticking down. I have to do it. And it's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, you can see they're kind of counting down, it's refining. So what we're going to do now is start just to build a godload of large plates. And that's pretty much it. That's all we're going to do. So you see we've got two assemblers now, 2 refineries as well. Building them took hours, I might add. So I think this is the weird thing about this game, is that for so long creative mode has just completely dominated this game, and now that we're having to build these things ourselves, it is incredible fun, I assure you, but it's quite a challenge. It's an incredible challenge. So here we go. We've now got our kind of first deck done. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to now look at the engines. Now, in terms of the engines, I think we're just going to go with classic, forward thrust large engines, retro thrusters for the front, and then I think that's probably it. And I think this is one of the things. To build anything bigger would be quite a challenge, I can tell you. And obviously it's got to be symmetrical as well. Now I noticed none of the build tools from previously were working, so you can't like do lines of blocks. Post in the comments if I've got that wrong, because I need my lines, bro, I do. So there we go, look at that. It's already starting to take shape, looking good. Now we'll put, maybe the front will be like the drive section, or not the drive section, the command section. So we'll put the captain's chair right at the front. It's not going to be, it's a destroyer size ship, this. It's a very small thing. We're going to have an assembler and a refinery on board as well. So it's going to be something that we can very quickly get into and park next to an asteroid, start mining and gain benefit from. Now again, I'm curious to see if they're going to make procedurally generated worlds with this as well, because I imagine that could be something they could do. Just space goes on forever. There's not a lot actually in space. It's just the odd asteroids, out there. Now they are fixed. The asteroids at the moment, I believe, are fixed. So that kind of is a limiting factor for this. I hope one day that they make it so it's just a never-ending sprawling space, and that would be pretty cool. Post in the comments if you've actually seen how big the maps are. I've not looked myself. I've not flown off in one direction to see what happens. I'm kind of hoping that eclipse mechanics happen and I end up coming back on myself, but you never know. So here we go. We're going to build this thing up. It's good. I mean, I wanted 2 decks because I kind of wanted an industrial deck on the bottom, and then kind of a habitation deck with like medical rooms, etc. on the upper deck. And again, there'll be a large reactor at the back of the ship, so that's going to take up the whole weight, the whole size of the ship. But in essence, this should be something quite useful. So there we go. Look at that. It's coming together. Now I'm going to have to weld every single block you see there. Now, in terms of the engines, this is a bit painful, but I kind of will. I redid this later on because it wasn't symmetrical, but it's more just to get my eye in, because you can add things and just remove them. It's not the end of the world to do that. But I think certainly with the larger engines, look how much materials they need. My God, these are going to take forever to build. But again, I like the challenge of it, and I think this is the kind of game that you could just literally build yourself a frame like this and then spend the rest of the day just building what you can. And I think when this eventually moves and flies off, oh my God, the feeling of accomplishment that's going to come with that is incredible. And this is only half built as well, so we literally, as we see this is about halfway there. It goes up another half yet to go, and I think this is going to be an interesting one to see how this works, because I'm very curious also to see how the mechanics of this thing will work as well, because I think a lot of the time these games obviously are trying to sort of build you, they're trying to put you in a place where you build these things and then you kind of can't do much with them. Well, I'm hoping that things like the large weaponry is done. I'm hoping that the internal turrets are done. I'm hoping that we can maybe do a bit of a fun, cheeky kind of gaming session where we then try and fight each other as well. So really curious to see how this works. If you don't want to do this, you can actually just use creative mode and build everything you want and then set realism. So don't feel you have to do it this way. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.